begin, we will delve into the learning objectives and their outcome. Students will understand three main elements of literature. You will be able to understand the power and significance of these three elements: plot, character, and setting. And you will also learn how to analyze each element and what the important aspects are, particularly of character and setting. We will begin with plot. Plot is the organized pattern or sequence of events that make up a story. It is the what happened of the story. For a literature student, the first thing you have to do is to decide whether the story is following the Aristotelian structure of a good plot, which, as Aristotle himself points out, is a continuous sequence of beginning, middle, and end. So you determine whether the story begins in the middle or does it have a proper chronological beginning. If the story starts in the middle of an action, then you have to decide and analyze why the writer chose to start the story in the middle of an action. Why was that particular event so important as to start the story with that? The parts of a plot are exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, and resolution. Exposition usually occurs at the beginning of the novel. Here, the characters, the setting, or the conflict are introduced, and exposition helps us to understand the context of a situation. Rising action is perhaps one of the most important facets of a plot. After exposition, the action rises through conflicts or inciting events that propel the storyline to rise. Now, why is rising action important? Firstly, this is the part where the writer evokes a sense of suspense and there is an increasing feeling of tension. The rising action forms as a sort of prelude to the eventual conflict that the character is subjugated to. This is also the part where essential information about the character is revealed. For example, a character's decisions, their flaws, the moral dilemma that they are trying to reconcile with. This is also the part where the writer incorporates realism or realistic writing, which helps to make not only the character but the plot more complex, relatable, and lifelike. Climax is the highest point of tension. Often, climax is also when the main problem of the story is revealed and faced by the characters. Falling action is when finally the increasing and the dramatic tension and conflict that has been rising in the entire story subsides and it leads to a resolution where all loose ends are tied up. Just to give you a short example of all the five parts of a plot we just studied, I will be referring to a short story we have already done, The Happy Prince. So the exposition is when we get to know that there was a prince, he lived in a castle, he has lived a life of luxury and richness, and that he has been isolated from the sorrows of his people. The complication or the rising action is when the prince, having died, is placed as a statue in the middle of the town, and he finally is able to see the many miseries that his people were subjected to. The swallow also enters the narrative at this point and becomes the messenger for the prince. The climax, the highest, most intense point in the short story, is when, after having given all his jewels and his rubies to the people, the town councillors think the statue is no longer beautiful and they decide to remove it. The falling action is when a crack sounded inside the statue as the prince's heart broke, and the resolution, of course, occurs in the last line where God grants eternal happiness to the bird and the happy prince. Moving on to character. Characters act as a catalyst for the action and movement of the plot. A character's conflict is the most riveting and poignant element in a story. The conflict may be an inner one with himself, or it may be an external conflict with society or an outside force or obstacle. Internal conflict is when the character may be struggling or going through emotional turmoil. For example, fear of abandonment, dealing with his or her flaws, and reconciling some sort of a deep moral dilemma. There is a profound awareness that is embedded within the character that actually acts as a sort of catalyst for the struggle and conflict that is provoked within him. For example, in The Happy Prince, the conflict is an internal one because once he is placed in the town center, he, having seen the misery, having seen the pain and suffering his people have gone through, has a very intense feeling of guilt that he goes through, that he was not able to help liberate his people from the anguish that they have been going through. On the contrary, external conflict is between a character and external forces. That may be between a character and a group of people, it may be between a character and abstract forces. For example, a hostile or a dark and bleak environment that could pose as a threat to the character. For example, in The Devoted Friend, when Hans is on his way to help his friend, he is met with the most pivotal, perhaps, example of external conflict, a storm, and he eventually dies in that. Types of characters, so you have the protagonist who is the main character and he forms the very significant part of the story around which the story revolves. Then you have the antagonist. The antagonist does not have to be a living, breathing human being. It could also form part of nature, such as an animal, the weather, a mountain, or a lake could also be antagonists because they could also pose a conflict or a threat to the protagonist. Moving on to perhaps one of the most important parts of the presentation, how to analyze a character in literature. This slide will help you to differentiate between the art of characterization in language and literature. When you're given an essay, you have to form characters. You can mold the character according to whatever feelings and emotions you want to give them. In literature, you meet a multitude of characters that have their own traits, their own characteristics that you then have to analyze. The first important point is to decide whether that character is actually even important in the story. Having done that, you then move on to see how the character is represented in the beginning of the story. This is very important. Is he or she a friendly character, or are they a selfish one? Are they a positive or a negative force in the beginning of the story? Once you have identified this, you can then trace the development of the character. For example, if he is a selfish character, does he have a moment of realization? Having had a moment of realization, does he change? For example, in The Selfish Giant, a short story that you've also done, the giant is represented as a egotistical and vainglorious character. He does not want to share the garden because for him the garden is his source of power. He does not want the children to play there. However, having realized and having had that moment of realization that without the children the garden is no longer happy, is no longer full of color, and the vivacity has been deprived, that is when he realizes that, and he calls the children back and he has a change of heart and the character changes. And of course, in the story, he has a positive change. So, to give you an example of a story that we recently did, The Young King. The Young King we see follows all of these 4 bullet points. He is the most important character in the story. He's, of course, the protagonist. The story begins with Oscar Wilde taking us on a journey with this character from when he enters the castle to all the glory and the pomp that overwhelms him to the moment of realization. In the beginning, the young king is selfish and somewhat egotistical. He is isolated from the outside pain and suffering, and the pleadings of his people fall on deaf ears. However, when we trace the development of the character, the reader can see that the young king changes. He has dreams in which he realizes that it is him who is at fault and is causing the pain and suffering of his people. And that is when he decides to change and, of course, not wear the clothes that are made out of the suffering of his people, but instead wear the leathern tunic that he already had, as you can see in the pictures. So you see that it is through various changes that take place in the character, the ability of a character, the idea of mutability that is introduced in the narrative. And when you trace that trajectory of a character, whether he changes from good to bad, from positive to negative, or vice versa, when you do that, that is what analysis is. That is when you have sharply and acutely analyzed the characters in a short story or a novel. Moving on to setting. The setting is the time and place or the when and where of the story. The importance of setting. When analyzing, you have to keep the following in mind. What does the setting tell you about the characters or the plot? Is there more than one setting? If so, what does each space reveal about the character? Important spaces in literature and what they symbolize. So these are spaces that have been repeated across the literary landscape quite a few times. Castles, as we know, they represent royalty, power, and dominance. For example, the castle in The Happy Prince represents power and how the prince was completely isolated from the outside anguish and from his people. Same in The Young King. He also does not know what his people are going through because he is within the confinement of his castle, within the luxury and pomp of his castle. So we see that it is through space we realize the divide between the classes, between rich and poor, and the ignorance of its rulers and their ultimate power. So we get to know through setting and through space more about the characters. That is what is also very important to know, that you can understand a character not just through what he says or the language he uses, but also the setting that envelops him and the setting in which he resides. That also reveals a lot about the character. The garden, of course, garden is again a very pivotal motif that is across the literary landscape, where it symbolizes happiness, merriment, and power. In The Selfish Giant, the garden is a source of happiness for the children, but for the giant, it is a source of power. He does not want to share the space. However, it is through space we get to know more about the character, more about the selfishness and the egotistical trait of this character. And it is through space that the change eventually comes in this character as well. Forests, again, a very powerful image used frequently. If the forest is dark and it's nighttime, then of course we know it symbolizes darkness, fear, loss, and loneliness. If the space is full of sunshine or light, it represents hope and happiness, as is represented through the two images you can see. So on the right, you've got the canopy of trees and beautiful sunshine penetrating through them. That also instills a sense of hope and vitality within the reader as well. So it is not just the characters that feel happy within these spaces and setting, but also through setting, the writer is able to instill happiness within the reader also. And on the left hand, you've got the dark, gloomy forest with the three wolves over there with their red, penetrating eyes, and we know that represents danger. Now, how a character reacts to danger represents another aspect of his character, whether he is strong or weak. Moving on to public and private spaces. Now, depending on the space, it could highlight freedom, power, or happiness. It could also lead a character to realize something. For example, going back to the Happy Prince, it is when he is placed in the town center, in the outside space, and away from the confines of his castle, that he realizes the pain of his people. So, just a short recap. So, today we learned about the three main elements of literature: plot, character, and setting, the importance of each, and what they symbolize. We have also learned about the art of analyzing character and setting. So, thank you so much. See you during the Google Meet session where we will delve deeper into each and every aspect that we have learned today. Thank you.